Good evening, Andres. You hear me?
Hello, good evening.
Okay. Well, let's wait for your classmates. And when we get four more, we will start. Hello, Christian.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Do you hear me?
Yes, teacher, we can hear you.
Oh,
Yes, teacher.
good. Uh,
Yes.
okay. Did you guys check your feedback of the last task?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Do you have questions about it?
I don't.
Okay. Hello, Freddy. Well, I'm going to share my screen and we will start by checking the homework that you had. And then I will move to the explanation of the last stage for analyzing data using grounded theory. So as I told you like 2 weeks ago, we can use grounded theory to analyze almost any type of data. That's why I chose that to have you work on that exercise, and so you can use it by the time that you start working on your research project next semester. Okay, so as you see in my screen, I'm sharing the matrix that you use to classify the data. The idea was to write on the left in the second column, this one that says code's name, the new code. And on the third column, the idea was to write exactly the words that the participants, the interviewers used when they gave their opinion about different aspects of the learning object. So the idea was to write on the third column students, the participants' opinions, and if you found that 3 or 2 students had the same opinions, so you had to create a new code. That new code had the words used by the interviewers, and the idea was to summarize those opinions that were similar. So In the first stage that you carried out, you analyze each one of the interviews. Each one of the groups analyze one interview. In the second stage, that was actual coding, the idea was to find out the similarities regarding the opinions of the students or the participants of the research and group the codes again and group those opinions, taking into account the similarities. So that's what you had to do last week. The idea when you work on actual coding is not to use different words or interpret uh, students' opinions by using other vocabulary, but try to support the new code by using the words that the participants used when they gave their opinions. So in this matrix, we can see that the new codes are related to competences. It says, las competencias incluidas en el objeto de aprendizaje se presentan de forma organizada, son interesantes y buscan desarrollar la habilidad de comunicación oral. This new code is supported on two students' opinions, GO and RC. Then we have other code. Says, los videos incluidos en el objeto de aprendizaje presentan vocabulario nuevo, de forma novedosa, comprensible y son una buena guía para el aprendizaje. So again, that new code is supported with the opinions of GO and LR and RC. Okay, so it's not a code that was created without any support on the collected data. It's just a way to group the opinions. Other code, los foros propuestos fueron interesantes, promovieron la práctica del vocabulario y la discusión, y tuvieron preguntas claras y que aportan al aprendizaje. So again, those ideas, those words, interested, promoted the practice of vocabulary, they promoted discussion, the questions using the forums were clear, and they helped students to learn. All those words were taken from students' opinions, from RC, from LR, from JP, and from LE. So this one is supported by 4 out of 5 students that were interviewed. And here we have a fourth code. El objeto de aprendizaje es bueno, adecuado para los estudiantes y permite el desarrollo de las habilidades. Again, those words, bueno, adecuado, permite el desarrollo, are taken from the students' opinions. LE, JP, RC. This information that I am showing, I'm sharing tonight is taken from one of the group's tasks. And I would like the other groups to tell me if you have questions so far, because after checking your task, I found out that the task was not clear for some of you. So far, it is clear what you had to do last week. It is clear the second stage, that is actual coding. Does it make sense? Questions so far? More questions? Okay. So in this task, in this file, there are 19 codes, 19 new codes. So students talked about the stages, first stage, uh, that use videos, so it helped to contextualize the task. Students also talked about third stage. The activities were dynamic, allow students to understand the information. Students also talked about different activities. So in all the stages there were activities, so we can group again. In the last stage of grounded theory, what we have to do is to group again uh, in order to get categories. So if students are talking about the videos, the activities, the forums, students also talked about visual aspect of the learning object, suggestions. They also talked about there were no grammar mistakes or typing mistakes, the amount of information, the instructions were clear, effective. Feedback was allow them to identify their mistakes and to improve. And exercises allow them to interact with their classmates. Exercises help them to practice the language in a real way. Transcripts facilitated understanding of the audios. Exercises allow the learning in a scaffolding way. And then we have some problems with the links, and the audios were easy, and the questions, the transcript helped to understand the audios. So what do we have to do? Group again. And in order to do that, we need to take into account the question. I want to share my screen again. So here the question is, what are the students' opinions about that learning object? So we can say that all the information related to competences, videos, instructions, amount of information, up-to-date content, effective feedback, transcripts, and contextualized grammar can become a group that will be called basic aspects to design a virtual object. So regarding those basic aspects that all the virtual objects should have, students had opinions regarding those specific aspects, and that's a group. Then we have a second group that is activities that promote learning. So students mentioned that those activities were meaningful, that they learn new vocabulary, that those activities were dynamic, so help them to break the monotony, that those activities ask them to research a little bit, and they found it interesting. So all those opinions were grouped into a category that was labeled as activities that promote learning. And then students' opinions about knowledge that was built in group, acquisition of knowledge, to use a program and awareness for the learning process was grouped into a new category that was called or that was labeled benefits of using TVL in a virtual object to learn English. And finally, suggestions. So that's what we have to do for the last stage of data analysis. That this stage is called selective coding, and the purpose is to create categories and the codes or subcategories. So when you start writing that chapter about data analysis, you need to explain each category and the codes. So you need to mention the codes, and then you need to explain it, and you need to provide examples. That's why you need an index. For example, here it is necessary to insert or add some examples that support those categories and codes. So we need to write what Gio mentioned as an example to support one of the categories. So that's the last stage. Is there any question about it?
Is there a limit on the amount of categories you have to? I mean, a minimum or maximum limit on the amount of categories?
No, there is not. It depends on what the students mention. So since for this research, the data collected were collected through interviews, but also through surveys. So the student mentioned many aspects of the learning object, but also to support the research data analysis, it was necessary to use a second data collection instrument that was a survey. I'm going to show it to you. And in that survey, the questions were specific about aspects of the learning object. And the idea was to calculate or to have like an average of students' opinions. So here I have the survey. Okay. So here these sentences were about the contents. So the student had to completely agree or neither agree or disagree. So when we have a survey, the idea is to have at least three possibilities. So we can have we can change these three possibilities into numbers. So one will be 5, the other will be 3, and the other will be 1, in order to average all the students' opinions. In this case, were 5.
Mm-hmm.
So here the sentences were about contents. The second part, the sentences were about usability. If students found that they could use the learning object easily. Well, here we have contents again. Here the 4 is a learning process. So if the information was comprehensible, if they could practice vocabulary grammar, if they developed any competence, if the feedback was appropriate, if they could go from the easiest to the most difficult. So again, the students chose one of these possibilities, and the researchers what had to do was to change it from 1 to 5 in order to come up with some numbers. Okay, and why numbers? Because I'm going to show you the pie charts. The pie charts that help to support the findings. Okay, here we have, let's see. Here we have a pie chart about students' opinions on the instructions. So 60% of the students mentioned that the instructions were easy or easy the comprehension of the activities. 20% agreed with that sentence, and the other 20% partially agreed. There are other pie charts. So this other way to collect data supported the interviews data analysis because it's necessary to collect data from at least two uh, instruments. Here we have other, it says the amount of information presented in each stage was appropriate. So 80% of students agreed with that. But well, and there are other pie charts that help to support the findings and the categories that are explained and I already showed you. So there is no limit for the number of categories that can emerge from the analysis. The idea is that all the categories are related to the question that help to answer the question. Any other question about the data analysis
Questions.
or comments? Next semester, what you have to do is to have a clear idea of the problem that you want to research about. So, if any of the groups that were created for this class want to continue next semester by starting a research, the first thing that you will be asked by your tutor is to mention the topic that you want to research about. And you will have to start reading about that topic in order to find out definitions of the keywords. Like if, for example, some students want to research about the use of technology in a group of second graders and the impact of that technology. So the tutor will ask you to define what are ICTs first. So you will have to look for authors that define that. Then you will have to read about articles that are related to the topic. And based on that, you will be asked to try to write down the question of the research. In the example that I give you, the question is the question for that specific group is what is the impact of using ICTs in a group of second graders? What's the impact on the students' writing skill after using some ICT tools in the English class of second graders? So I would like to know if so far the process of starting a research is clear, the information about data analysis. The feedback that I gave you is it clear? What you will ask to do next semester is clear? Something else that I would like to mention is that when you start your research next semester and after reading about the definitions of keywords and similar articles, you will identify also the type of research that you want to carry out. If you want to describe a situation or if you want to implement a solution for a problem that you found out in a context, if you want to use phenomenological research or ethnographic research, action research, case study, all the types of research that you read about and that you presented in a PowerPoint some weeks ago. So also after reading more about the topic of your interest, you will find out if what you want to do is to describe what is going on in the context, to try to understand the problem, or if you don't want to understand the problem but you want to try to solve it. And by solving it, if you want to find out the participants' opinions, or if you want to implement something and find out how it works. Comments or questions? This is our last virtual encounter, so it means that you don't have any other tasks. And tonight I will publish the final grade in the virtual room. So you can check the grades and let me know if you find any typing mistake um, or you find any problem.
Well, teacher, I have a question. I realized that I upload the task. I don't remember what it was. Let me check. Well, it was um, a task, but I uploaded on the link that said May 5th, and I had to upload it on the 12th, something like that. I don't remember, but I think I uploaded wrong, so I don't have the grade.
I no, I already published it, but I published it in the first link. So all of you have the grade of your PowerPoint presentation and the presentation in the first link. The link that says case study and action research. In that link, I published the grade.
Okay, I'll check.
So also, I think at 9 p.m. you can check the final grade spreadsheet that I will publish in the virtual room. Because right now what you will see are the grades without the grade of the last task and the grade of this virtual encounter. The other grades are published in a spreadsheet in the link assessment in the virtual room. Any other question or comment?
Thank you, Yana. Everything is perfect.
Okay, Christian. Well, so that's all for tonight. I appreciate you join the counter tonight. Uh, so please check the final grades and email me if you have any question.
Okay, ma'am. Will do.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you, teacher.
You're welcome, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.